We all can be mortals, capable of mistakes. The journey's not here to be agonized upon.
Welcome, Mere Mortalites, to another round of the Mere Mortals Monthly Goals. This is where your two Mere Mortals here, Kyrin here in Brazil, Londrina, and
Juan here on the other side of the world in Australia still.
Brisbane, beautiful. And we are live here on the 29th of June, 2024. So it is almost at the very end of the Australian financial year. So if you need to lock in any gains or losses, now's the time to do it. We like to go over our monthly goals once every month, obviously, right towards the end of the month. We talk about what happened in June of this year, what happened just this past June, what's come out for July, a bit of our fitness, and even just a chance to thank some supporters as well and things like that. As usual, we start off with Juan. So Juan, why don't you tell us how your June has been going?
Well, June was pretty good. At least from my side of things, I had 5 monthly goals that I'd set myself. So if the trend that you've been seeing, and indeed Kyrin knows about this, but the trend continues to July around the number of goals, it's starting to decrease. There's a good reason for that, but at least for the June, it was five goals, 1 in the body, 3 in the mind, 1 in the soul, and I can safely say all of them were completed well. Like I sort of ticked them all off, was able to kind of do the gymnastics effort that I wanted to, which really just composed a lot of pull-ups, a lot of muscle-ups, a lot of handstand work, a lot of handstand walking work, and a lot of core hollow work. So I wouldn't necessarily say that it was a supremely fruitful bout of exercise, I guess, but it was fun to do more of that. And by fruitful, I mean, I couldn't say that from where I started to where I am now, there was like significant improvements in maybe the amount of pull-ups I was able to do, or like the seconds I could hold a handstand, or the form, but it was fun to do. So that was fine with me. I enjoyed doing them.
At the level we're at, I don't think there's much you can really gain in just a month, unless it's a completely new move.
That's a really good point. Yeah, there was was trying to across the month. I was doing from a pull-ups effort. I kind of began at 10 sets of 5. I think on basically like a week, and I was doing just like 10 sets of 5 on a Monday, 10 sets of 6 on a Thursday, 10 sets of 7 on a Monday, 10 sets of 8 on a Thursday. So I started to continue that progression, but there's only so much volume you can do in a month, and how much you can progress such a thing.
Yeah, for sure.
But it was fun. On the mind side, there was a lot of I did create a return on investment inclusive of risk calculator. So that was really fun actually to put together. That was really, really fun. I'll send you a screenshot of that. Remind me once we finish. I'll send you a screenshot so we can put that up as well. But it was really cool. So it's got a lot of basically, if you imagine it, if you can't see the screen, a lot of questions. I think it's like 8 or 9 questions, which you can rate out of different things I've given myself. And it moves around this bar chart basically, and it gives me an indication of like how risky versus the value is based on the status that I am now. And then I've given myself some examples. So like I ran some examples of what would happen if I sold everything right now and bought Bitcoin. And the risk factor, as you can imagine, the risk factor is big, but it's not huge. Like it's not ridiculously huge, and it's because in the calculator, it kind of encompasses things like, well, how much will the investment potentially bring in, in 10 years or 15 years? So yeah, that potentially is a high return. And because of that, it doesn't actually give it as risky, but obviously other areas make it risky. The 1 page of a day of the French book. Now, I also made a little note which said it's a minimum of 30 across the month that I wanted to do of Le Petit Prince, which is good because definitely there were some days that I didn't do a page a book of the book. However, I did do more than 30 across the month. There was a couple of days where I was doing, a couple of days I was doing like 4 or 5. So I'd probably say I missed 4 days of the month to doing it, but I was pretty consistent with at least reading a page or more on an average. So I was happy with that. In fact, I'm almost finished the book. So it's going to go in nicely to finish it up for the annual goals, which will be awesome. Back on the value creation bandwagon. So yeah, did some book reviews obviously to help out at the beginning of the month. There was monthly summaries, some podcasts. It obviously didn't impromptu interview that came about to our side, which was awesome as well. So that was good. And then the daily journaling around just more being specific on calmness versus frantic there. So it was good. It was a good little reminder every time to note that down across the month. So honestly, all of them were done. It was served all their purpose. So yeah, happy with that. I don't think there's any much more call-outs on those.
Okay, beautiful, sweet. Thanks, man. That's cool to see. All right, my ones were, as Juan's dying in the background there. My June goals were really simple because I obviously had a rather dramatic May with mum passing away. So I was flying back to Brazil, trying to get back into a bit of a routine again. So this was just I think this was maybe what I stole from April. I think it's the same one that I used then. So it was just allow yourself to be optimistic, flirty, happy, and playful. Well, I think I've done that one, and I've got a story for you. I've got I'll fill this section in with the story, and I'll probably frame this by saying this. My brother, when he used to go on dates, he loved talking about dating, and one of the questions that he said he'd ask would be like, what's the worst date you've ever been on, or something like that. You'd hear this come up.
Like he would ask that question of them.
He'd ask that. I think that I'd actually someone had asked me this before, and I never really had a good answer for that. I think I've got a good answer for that now. So I'll try and give brief. I'll try and keep this short. So I was chatting with this girl on Tinder, and she is Brazilian, obviously, and she is a Portuguese speaker, and she's traveled around. She had photos of herself in Peru, and I think she'd been to Paraguay, things like this. And I was like, oh, okay, this is cool. Like, she's probably more likely to be interested in gringos. And she certainly was, which is, there's one of the great things about apps and stuff like this. You can find people like this because it's kind of hard to find people who are really interested in other cultures and learning languages and things like that. So I was chatting with her, and should I give this as a primer? No, I'll save this for the next section. But the goals before this and the goals that are coming up for the next month, there's something in there which I said I shouldn't do and I did do. But I'll save that because it's not that impactful to the story. It's just like a funny side on. Basically,
okay.
I was saying like, oh look, she lived kind of far away, about 15 minutes. That's far for Londrina. That's basically like from one side to the other almost. And she was way up in the north, and I'm like, oh, okay, why don't we just go here? And it was kind of closer to me, and she's like, oh, cool, are you going to pick me up? And I'm like, well, obviously no, I don't have a car. And then she was humming and hurrying, and so I went, okay, that's cool. Look, I'll come close to you. We'll just go somewhere close to you. That's fine. Do you want me to pick you up from your place, and then we'll go from there? No. Let's meet somewhere. And I'm like, okay, well, do you have any suggestions? Because I don't know Londrina at all. I'm a gringo. And she goes, yeah, and suggests this place. And I actually kind of like the place. It looked like an Eat Street vibe. So for those who don't know, Eat Street in Brisbane, bunch of shipping containers where it's kind of like mini pop-up restaurants almost. So you can get, Peruvian food there. You can get Japanese food. I don't think they have African, but they'll have like Hungarian food. You can have a drink there. There's all sorts of little things. There's usually live music, stuff like that. And I went, okay, sweet. The day before, I was like asking, oh, okay, what's the actual address of this place? I don't know where it is. She sends it through, an hour and a half before we're meant to meet. And I was, I think, in the shower or something. So I respond 45 minutes before. Okay, cool. Ate logo. I'll see you soon. As I'm there, I'm saying, I realize like, oh, okay, bit of traffic. Hey, I'm just going to arrive probably like 10 minutes late. Just being nice. Everything I've done now, I think, has been pretty cordial and pretty nice. And I received these capitalized texts from her, one word at a time. You didn't tell me you were coming. I haven't arranged my things. And I'm starting to think like, oh, okay, all right.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. As if you didn't tell her. What's going on? You definitely told her.
Yeah, I feel this. Let me continue. So I'm like, okay, whatever. Brazilians, I'm willing to let this slide a little bit. Latinos, they're sometimes late. Different expectations. I could have, reaffirmed this beforehand. Like, when you say 7, do you actually mean around 7 or do you mean 8? I could have done that, but well, whatever. I said, no, that's fine. I'm just going to go for a bit of walk around there. Just come when you're ready. And so I go for a bit of a walk. I have a look inside. I see all the things. I'm like, oh, this is kind of cool. It was still early. It was 7 p.m. So nothing was really kicking off. But there was a football match on between, I think it was like Flamengo and one of the other Brazilian teams. So and it had just started. So I grabbed a beer and I was sitting there and watching it. And it gets to 7:20, nothing. And I send a message. Oh, I'm just by the entrance. 7:30, nothing. And I'm like, all right, I'm just gonna go home after if it reaches half time, because this is getting a bit absurd now. And then I received this message from her, which I'll try and translate on the fly. You have nothing in you of Latino. A Latino would look for me, come to my house, take me to somewhere to eat or to drink to an awesome place. The next time, you need to confirm before you go. You are badly educated. Bye. And just sent me that. And I was just laughing my ass off, man. I couldn't believe how ridiculous this was, because everything that she said that I did wrong was basically things that I asked her about already. So unless she wanted me to, somehow read her crazy mind and understand this person who I've never met before, and she says this thing, but she actually wants me to do the other thing, unless that was what was going on, I just went like, wow, this has got to be, I think this might be a genuine crazy person, or maybe not a psychopath. Psychopath's a pretty strong word, but definitely a crazy person. What the fuck is that? So yeah, that was a good laugh, man.
I think you can get away with that if you've been with someone for a while. Like if there's a already established routines of way of being.
Yeah, sure. What restaurant do you want to go to? I don't want to go here. Yeah, that sort of thing. Yeah. Yeah, I get that.
Yeah, so I get that, but that's a bit extreme on the actual first time you're actually trying to catch up. No way.
Yeah. So that is easily the worst I've been stood up. It's easily the I don't know if you'd even call it a date, because it didn't even happen. But
didn't even happen. Yeah.
Yeah, it was. All I took from this was I was proud of myself for a couple of things. One, for even attempting it, because look, normally when I'm in Australia, and honestly, after this experience, I'm going to reinforce this rule, which is I like to try and integrate dates or meeting people for the first time into my regular routine. So if they don't show up, if they try and stand me up, if they're rude, it doesn't bother me at all, because then I can just go on with whatever I was going to do anyway, or I can go home, or, whatever. So this was one of the times where, if I look at it, an hour and a half out of my time, probably even a bit more, because I had to shift a couple of things around. Let's just say 2 hours of my time was absolutely wasted, plus all the time messaging her. But I just thought it was so funny, man. I just could not believe how stupid, how ridiculous it was. So I definitely have allowed myself to be optimistic, flirty, happy, and playful. So I think June has been a success.
You allowed that to happen. No, that's good. I mean, look, you can't do much when it comes to. Well, I wouldn't even say that's crazy in that regard, but I would say that it is an expectation applied way too early, and if that's the sort of expectations being presented, then you don't want to participate in that regardless.
I mean, even playing the game of what if I had enforced it and said, hey, no, I'm going to come to your house, hey, I'm going to rent a car for the night or whatever. I just can't imagine what kind of person she's like, if she feels comfortable sending a text like that. God, she must be. I feel sorry for the dude that wifes her, that sort of deal, because that's not. Yeesh.
Wow. But maybe, dude, maybe out there is there's individuals listening to this trying to be like, yeah, man, that's what I want. That's what I want. I want someone to like degrade me in that way, or tell me that I'm wrong or whatever.
Could be.
They could be. But yeah, no. To the mere mortals here, I think that doesn't strike a note for us.
No.
Cool. Okay. Awesome.
Yeah. We'll leave it at that.
Unfortunately. Was there anything else for the interlude here that you want to talk about?
No. So typically, this is where we like to thank supporters who've helped to, I guess, like give an overview of just where we're at in terms of finances for the podcast and things like that. Honestly, I have not done the months of April, May, or June yet, and once again, it's 2 days' time, and June will be finished, and that'll be the end of my financial year, as I was saying. So this will actually need to be done. I think I'm only going to do it on a 3-month basis going forward. The reason I used to do it monthly was I wanted to keep on track of shirts. That was the main reason, just to know like leaderboards, where people are at, because we're kind of like in a low season at the moment. We're not really trying to expand out, and it's usually just the same couple of notable faces popping up and sending boostergrams in. There's no real point on keeping track of that on a monthly basis. So just going forward, I'll be doing that on a quarterly basis, just doing all those things, because it does take a fair bit of time adding up all those things. Once again, thank you everyone who's helped to support the show. If you want to boost in and earn a shirt, I actually have 2 with me here at the moment. I've a medium and a large in my suitcase. So if you're in Brazil or the US and you feel like earning a shirt, now be the time to do it, because the free shipping would be
here's the opportunity.
much more easier for me if I'm already there. And just a shout out, if anyone is in the US, particularly in the Nashville, Los Angeles or Las Vegas areas, I probably will be going to those at some point in July and / August, mostly August. So hit me up if you want to meet up in real life.
If you're around that area, don't be scared.
For
as
sure.
long as you don't stand up Kyrin and expect him to go and drive to your place. He'll be very happy.
Or let's meet in where's someone Mississippi? Like let's meet in Mississippi, and I'm like, okay, and then they stand me up. Not cool, bro. Not cool.
Not cool. Yeah, that would not be fun.
That's the menus there.
Good. Okay. No. I think that's going to be a good path forward. Doing it on a more quarterly basis probably makes sense until we get back to a hot Satoshi, hot Boostergram space, which will come.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. Well, let's look at the July goals then. July 2024. Mine's fairly straightforward. Mine's fairly easy, and it is reminiscent of some of the ones Kyrin's had before. And as you see the trend that's been happening, and maybe the other caveat as well is, this is the last month for myself, at least, where it's the annual goals sort of tie-in. For me, annual goals begin on the August,
1st of August,
with my birthday. So
I was telling Lucas
July
this
2024
recently.
is
Best to start it not at the end of not at the start of a new year. Just any time other than that is a good time to start.
Any time is good, exactly. So in any case, for the month of July, mine is just a singular one goal, and it is enjoy the month, tidy up annual goals, and plan the new goals for the next year. And when I actually wrote that goal, which is it's interesting, and I'll talk about it more in meanderings, but when I wrote that particular goal, I hadn't really started thinking much about what I wanted to do for the following year. There was a lot of just packed days in my life where I was just doing a lot of things in a good way, but I hadn't really had the time to kind of stop and think about what I wanted to do it beyond kind of the immediacy of life. And I kind of put that down as being like, well, I'm not going to have no goals. I'll have one goal, and that goal will be just really tidying up what I've been doing so far and planning for the new goals. But
then you had a walk, didn't you?
I was able to do it early. Exactly. In fact, it's a couple of walks. So
okay, we'll be talking about that in the next episode.
On meanderings more for sure. Yeah, we'll talk about it in the next episode for sure. But in summary here for folks is I've gone now on multiple walks, and that's helped find, I guess, the ideas and the thoughts of what I want to aim for, what I want to optimize, let's just say, for the following year.
Let's go.
At least as annual goals are concerned. So it's good. It'll be nice not to maybe be focused too much on completing some other things that have been going on at the moment. I've got a couple of trips I need to do in July as well. So, it makes it lighter on maybe my mind on what I need to do and just have a pure focus on just getting it right for the next annual goals. So, look, it's going to be a yes. It's going to be get completed. It's going to be 100%, which is going to be nice. And it'll also mean, as part of this, it'll also be tidying up my little review that I do of an annual, I'd say the annual goals that I've had, the monthly goals, a full summary of that. There's a lot of statistics and percentages that you might expect of an engineer that come about with that as well. So yeah, there's quite a bit of that into this particular goal, but yeah, a reduction in the volume of goals for me in this month. That'll definitely change, but for now, that's what July is looking like.
And those walks haven't been helping you, man. I asked Venice.ai to give me an image of what you look like with these goals, and it's not a pretty image, man. It's on the YouTube and on your screen if you've got a good podcast app as well. All right, we'll jump over to mine instead. All right, so July 2024 goals for me. So this is what I was hinting at before. This was a goal that I actually had in April, and it was so perfect, man, because I went, oh, if I had this, that interaction perhaps could have gone differently. So first goal is eye contact, smile, touching, and do not attempt iffy jokes. Now, one of the things I did do with Tinder girl who stood me up, I attempted a flirtatious joke in some sense. And basically it went, she asked me like, oh, so how long are you staying here? And I'm like, all right, I'll give this a shot, because the conversation was a bit dry up until then. So I was like, all right, I'll try and spice this up. And so I basically tried to say, I'm staying here as long as it takes for you to seduce me. That was basically the intent of what I tried to say. Now, how that came across, I tried Google Translate, and I'm like, all right, this kind of makes sense. I haven't really used any of these words before, like seducir. I'm not sure if that has the same connotation as it does in English. I confirmed with Lucas afterwards, and he's just like, dude, that's muito ruim. That's really bad. And her reaction to it was, what are you trying to do? And so I just went like, look, excuse me, I'm sorry. Let's forget that ever happened. I was trying to make a joke. It didn't land. She being a Portuguese instructor, Lucas maybe can even give me a rating out of 10 of how bad it was. He's in the chat. But I just went like, look.
Sounds like it was a 9 out of 10.
And all I can think is that maybe she held that against me and is like, from then on, she's just like, I'm just going to try and fuck with this guy. I think she could have done a better job if that was what her intent was. And now I'm just absolutely guessing. So, who knows? But that's the only thing that can kind of make a little bit of sense in my mind. So, do not attempt any more iffy jokes, Kyrin. Oh, he said it's only 3 out of 10. That's not too bad, man. That's just she being crazy.
Okay, all right.
That's just her. All right, so I'm going to continue saying yes to everything and basically asking about events. So I think I've been a lot better at it's one of those things where it's just like at the moment it's Festa Junina here, which is basically it's still hard to get my head around, but basically it's a whole month of a festival of feriados, like holidays, but I don't really know if they celebrate any days off in particular. There's some events, but people don't really seem to know when the events are. I guess the equivalent would be Science Week in Brisbane or something. And if you're a tourist and you're like, what's this Science Week? And then if you ask someone who lives in the Gap and never really goes to the city, they're probably going to go, I have no idea. Maybe it's something that's on. I don't know if there's any events. I wouldn't know how to find them. It's nothing that special. maybe Riverfire would be an equivalent where it's like, okay, there's one day, but there's also other days. Anyway, when you ask about things, when you put them out there, people tend to notice like, oh, he's interested in this, and then they hear about something, then they're like, oh, maybe the gringo's interested in this, and suggest going to something. So, definitely trying to prioritize those and just have quality times with people. This one, transfer gym data for future use. This is just related to the podcast and something in the future. Honestly, at the moment, I'm gonna be away for next week's episode. Juan maybe can do a filler for that. I don't know. You haven't really.
I will. Yep. Correct.
Yep. Sweet. And it's likely while I'm going to be traveling in July/August that it'll probably be more likely that I'm doing once a fortnight rather than a weekly thing, because it's just gonna be busy. So yeah, this is just for the future. Like if I create a fitness podcast, particularly in the future, it'd be really nice to have all this gym data, which I have written down as saved as PDFs with handwriting, transforming that into actual data that I can use in Excel sheets. That'd be good. So that's just if I have any spare time. Handstand stuff. Watch Coach Backman vids, continue stretching, and check my form. So really just those are the three things that I kind of need to do at the moment, and just continue, I guess, trying to, at the moment, it's been a bit of I'll talk about it more in the fitness, but it's been a good but also frustrating month in some respects when it comes to the fitness. So this is just trying to get back on track with that. Continue to not use social media. I haven't really done that since the handstand retreat, and it's been really good. And even just today, just before this, as I was creating these goals, I'm like, oh, what if I go over to here and I just like scroll for a little bit, and I just, because I'm looking for it, man. And presidential debate, I think, was yesterday or the day before or something. God damn, man, it's just everywhere. It's like, nope, don't want to deal with that. So continue not using that has been great. Research just some places, events that could be amazing. I've been doing a little bit of this. I was chatting with Juan and Joey previously about potentially meeting up or going to see Zoo in Las Vegas or something like that. Those are the type of things I want to keep an eye out for. It's like, oh, this could be something that would be really almost once in a lifetime. Let's pretend I'm never coming back to the US again. What is something that I'd really want to do here or there? And so just looking for those, but also obviously not going too far out of my way. Last one's be strategic in preparation and fearless in making mistakes. So there's just communication improvement. What I've noticed with my Portuguese is I'm still at a rudimentary level. I still make a lot of mistakes, but there's times when I make it harder for myself. For example, I will be chatting with someone and there'll be 5 meters across the room and there'll be some music playing. Whatever I'm doing, I should just stop, walk over to them so that I'm a meter away from them, looking them right in the face, and then chat with them and not try and do this across the room, because that was just, I had that the other day where it was like, oh, okay, that was my fault. The reason that I was saying, oh, I don't understand, what are you trying to say? She was saying a couple of things which were slang, gírias, which I couldn't know, but I could have pieced together if I'd been closer. So there's that, but also just language learning, man. You just got to be fearless in saying stupid crap and saying dumb things.
Making all the mistakes.
Not all the mistakes. No more iffy jokes, but especially in text. No more iffy jokes via text. But other than that, yes, all the mistakes. You can make the iffy jokes in person, because then you can just laugh it off and they can see, oh, okay, like he didn't, whatever he just said, he obviously didn't mean that. And then the last one here is related to dance, yoga, and language learning. So I've got a couple of chances to perhaps do some samba, some capoeira, and maybe some line dancing when I'm in Nashville. So I should just have a look-see for those at the very least and see if I can do some of those. I have actually joined a yoga studio here for a month. So just keep doing three yoga sessions per week. And I want to finish this book that I have with me here, which Lucas has very kindly let me read. It is, can I get this right in front of the camera? I can. Capitaines Geria. Capitaines. It's weird. This A-E is really hard. The A with the tilde on top is hard to say. And areia is a bitch of a word. I hate that word, areia, which means captains of sand. And it's a really famous book here, Jorge Armado. So I want to finish that off. I'm about halfway through it. Which, yeah, it's going good. I can just see Lucas in the chat saying, I need Papa Miguel to help me with my handstands. So he's obsessed with Papa Miguel. I mean, as any young boy would be obsessed about their dad. All right, man. That's it. That's it for
actually
me.
Very similar when you're looking at the images as well.
They do, man. It's
similarities.
It's not just a joke. It's like it's a really good joke because they do look really similar. Even their tattoos are pretty similar. Apart from they've both got a sleeve. I'm not sure if it's on the same arm, on the right arm. I think as Lucas's, or is it left? No, I don't know. And yeah, even tattoo wise, they're very similar. They've both got the long hair kind of tied in a top knot type of deal. Yeah, they're similar. They're similar, man.
Yeah, Lucas. Yeah, be careful you don't.
Baby Lucas.
Well, maybe for him, he does. He does want to transform into a little bit of handstand king.
Yeah, he does. He does.
Over the realm.
It is the same arm as well. There you go. It was meant to be.
God, there you go.
All right. Well,
so you were saying, talk about the fitness. So talk
Yeah.
fitness wise. So why hasn't it been as a fantastic month? I guess.
Yeah. So it was. I mean, right at the start of the month, that was just trash because that was Mum's memorial service, flying to Brazil, doing a big trip. I'd already had the kind of pain cropping up in my left wrist again, which was I'm pretty much putting that down just to emotional stress, which I think was kind of why it was affecting me so long from roughly August last year through to, when did it wasn't until really March-ish where it kind of felt like it got good again for March, April was a great month, and then May, obviously with Mum, everything just cropped up again, and so I think emotionally it's the emotional impact of everything that was going on has just had an impact on the body as well. I got through that handstand retreat. I have no idea how I got through it. Pure luck and just taking some time off beforehand, I guess. But even afterwards, it was like after that I basically have had to take a week and a half, almost 2 weeks off, just really just trying to let everything heal. The shoulders feeling better.
Did you continue to train? Like, did you continue to do your normal sort of training?
Not normal.
Lighten it back, or just not at all?
I've learned that it is better to still try and train and just keep the body just doing something. So whether it be doing some stretching in the morning, which I have been doing, been doing a lot more of that. Whether it be just pretty much staying on two arms. I've done very, very little one arm type work, and even when I did do it, I kind of regretted it afterwards. So it's been 50% basically. So it is getting better. I do but it does also, like, there's the psychological impacts of training as well, and injuries, where it's just, it bums you out, man. It can really bum you out. A couple of days I was just like, just angry, depressed, sad, not feeling great. So I think I'm over the worst of it now and getting into a better period, hopefully. But these things always crop up, man. I almost I had a kind of shitty fall against the wall, and I ended up scraping my knee against the wall, and I got luckier that I didn't do anything any worse than just like a graze on my knee. So, things can crop up.
While you were working out, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Interestingly enough, I did something very, very similar. not working out, just kind of like falling into the wall as well. And got myself some mad like scratches and stuff down in my arm. But no, I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying, man. Like again, like this particular month I had from a fitness perspective, not that it wasn't anything bad. There was some. I mentioned it already in the last conversation we had around the scratches from basically just running too far and my legs being too jacked, let's just say, aka too fat, too big, and rubbing together, and that causing me to not be able to train very well for, let's just say, like a week and a bit. And similarly, man, that it impacts you in terms of you either have something down on the paper, or you have a plan, or you have an idea, and then when you can't do it, it throws you off a little bit. And there is part of that I've started to think about from the next annual goals and whatnot. But yeah, when we don't get to, I guess, do the thing, especially for us, fitness is a thing that we find a lot of joy and I guess a lot of calmness with as well. It can get on our nerves, that's for sure. But
yeah, definitely.
Okay, hopefully it's us moving towards a good path into the July period as well for you.
I think so, man. And it's also it's fun doing this stuff with other friends. You know, Lucas is in the chat and he's been I guess like inspired by us as well. He sent me a photo just before we started of his own monthly goals, which are, you know, just, it's kind of
awesome.
The things that he's interested in. He's set up a little table with beer, sugar, reading, and running. And he is trying to cut out beer, cut out sugar, read, and he's been doing some running. He's trying to get rid of his gordinhos, his little love handles. But he's
told him to get rid of love handles.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, like it's cool that he's written this down and is getting after it. Love to see it.
Well, again, the fact, and I'll repeat it again, we do monthly goals, we do annual goals. We don't break it down into daily goals, although there's maybe daily practices and daily habits that we follow. But we've been doing this now for many, many, many years. And it helps us be aligned, I guess, to higher values, aligned to the things that we want to be doing, to channel energy in the amount of time that you have in a day to do things that you actually want to do. As you're calling out, you're retreating away from social media quite a bit. That means you got more time to do other things. So monthly goals where you're thinking out there of doing it or trying something out, man, feel free to reach out, ask questions through Discord or through any other chats that you can for the podcast as well. We'd be very happy to give you any tips or pointers or anything like that, because honestly, it's served us very well over the many years that we've been doing it.
Absolutely. Yeah, man. Cool. All right. Well, I think this is a good place to just cut it off for there. So thanks everyone who has joined in for this one or who will be joining in, as it is released via the audio as well. As Juan was saying, we'd love to hear your monthly goals, and that's one way you can contribute back to the show, which is a Value for Value podcast. So we just ask that you contribute some time, talent, or treasure, whatever you got from this, however valuable you found it. We'd appreciate if you could give some of that back. So time, the simple things, sharing it with a friend, telling them in person is probably the best, but also sending them a link via YouTube or via your podcasting app. Talent. Tell us about your goals. Tell us about what you think we did wrong. Tell us about Brazilian culture and how I offended this girl. All of these things are valuable and make for good conversation. And then finally, some treasure. If you want to support the podcast financially, we do have a PayPal link, which you could use to do that. But the way we really love it is if you send in a Boostergram, which is a message that you can send directly in support that you can send in directly via a podcasting app with a message attached to it. You can send funny numbers like a row of sticks, 1111, 2222 is a row of ducks. And we like to read these out during our normal weekly one or fortnightly, I guess, for the next little period, as a way of just saying thank you to everyone who is helping to keep this show running, because it does cost money to host it, to do all of these things, to buy new equipment, etc. So we'll leave it there for today. Although there is a monthly meanderings coming right off after this. And yeah, thanks everyone for tuning in. Juan, take us out.
Well, thank you very much. Me immortalize wherever you are in the world. Hope you're well. Juan, out.
Kyrin out. Bye.